Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Today, we'll be talking about how to customize and deploy beautiful dashboards. For those who don't know me, I am Marcelo, Tago's a content editor, and with me today, I have Klaus Borges, one of our front-end developers. Right, before we start, please feel free to introduce yourself on our chat that is open, and if you have any questions, we have just opened our Q&A that is located above the chat. So you can ask your questions there. And at the end of the presentation, we will have a moment to answer them all. Right? A quick reminder, we're constantly having webinars. So if you don't want to miss them, please visit our events page, and there you can see our schedule. Right, so let's start. Here we have our agenda. Okay, we will first see what you can expect, right? What kind of dashboards you will be able to build at the end, how to customize them, customize or run, set up your domain, and some additional resources that you can use. And in the end, as I said before, we will have our Q&A. So here, for those who are not familiar, this is our Tago Run login page. This page is usually what your user will see before accessing their dashboards. As you can see, this is pretty basic, right? But just with few minor changes, you can put your whole identity here. So first of all, let's change our background. Let's pretend it's a smart agro, right? Toggle run. And as you can see, just by putting a picture behind it, it has already a brand new face. And another small addition here, making the signing part a little bit more transparent. And now it's all, you can see, it's already beautiful, more beautiful. Correct? A few edits and you can end up with this beautiful run signing page. Correct? And let's not stop here. If you are running a smart city operation or even an industrial IoT application, right? You can put your face on your Tago Run login page as you want. It's pretty simple. After that, your dashboards. This is one of our templates that you can download and use on your admin. It already comes like that. And once again, it's pretty functional, right? If you have a freezer or something like that. But with a few minor changes, as you can see, it's already a whole new thing. Way more beautiful, isn't it? And what did we change? We had a background image. We made the widgets a little bit more transparent, and we can see it's already different. And let's not stop there, right? There are way other examples of how you can build beautiful applications inside Tagoyo. So before I let Klaus speak, please don't forget to say hello on our chat, right? And present yourself, okay? So without further ado, please, Klaus.
Thank you, Marcelo. Can you hear me? Marcelo?
Yes, I can hear you, Klaus. Go for that.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Klaus. Like Marcelo mentioned, I'm a front-end developer here at Tago.io. For our presentation to be self-contained, I'll start by leading you through a really quick overview over some core concepts and talking about our goals with this presentation. So in the screen, you can see that we have some dashboard that was customized for another presentation that we made a while ago. This is an application that was made for drones. So you can see that there is a drone image there and everything in this dashboard is related to drones. So we can see here that this application is being displayed inside admin. Admin, as you know it, is the way that you manage not only your dashboards, but you can manage your devices, your sensors, your run, you can manage your users. It's where you manage everything in your application. You can use admin to see your dashboard, but your end users will most likely be using your run, which we can refer as portal or any other names that your application. We usually say application because it's clear that it's an application that is facing your end users. So in the dashboard we have there, we can see that it's customized to have a dark background. It has some customized colors. It has its own identity. It's not related to any brand as it was developed for a webinar, but you can see that it's fairly consistent and it shows everything, and it's different from the default look of our dashboards. You can also see that it being inside admin, it shows our colors both on the sidebar and on the navigation bar right above. That's not what your end users will see. They will see your application inside run. And you can see here that we can customize run completely. We can see that our dark background is now being used on run as well. And that is very simple and very powerful. So I'm gonna start talking about the goals here. So everyone is on the same page. So I'm gonna share my screen. Just a second. All right. So like I mentioned, I want this presentation to be self-contained, which means that in the end, we'll have talked about design, we'll have talked about customizing dashboards, we'll have talked about customizing your run, and we'll have talked about how everything comes together to make your entire application fully customizable. In the end, if you want to, you don't need to have any branding from Tago.io whatsoever in your run application. You can have your branding, your color schemes, your images, your backgrounds, everything. So without further ado, let's start about talking about our goals. Our main goals here are to inspire you to create beautiful applications and beautiful dashboards. When we think about our applications in TagoRun, we start thinking about how to display the data from our sensors, right? We have a lot of sensors that have temperature, that have humidity, and any other values that you are measuring. So when you think about our starting points, usually it's fairly common to have something like this. You set up your dashboard, you send data to from one of our devices or using a simulator device. You can see it here. You can add a device and you can use one of our simulator devices to fill your buckets from your devices with data from like a bus simulator, a freezer simulator, or you can have a device that it's tied to a sensor, a hardware sensor that you have in hand. Either way, when you have set up a few devices, you have sent some data, now you want to display it. You create a dashboard, and the starting point is usually like this. A quick side note here, I'm showing a blueprint dashboard. Blueprint dashboards are used for scaling your applications. And this is a topic that is covered in another series that we have on our YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about blueprint dashboards, you can check our documentation, you can check our webinars, and you have a really deep dive on these features and why they exist, how to use them, and how to scale your applications. But the focus here is not about blueprint dashboards. The focus here is not to talk about scaling your applications. The focus here is how to design great applications, design great dashboards. This way you can amaze your end users with custom visualizations for your data. So let's forget a little bit about this bar here, which is exclusive to our blueprint dashboards. Let's think about the dashboard itself. As we start with only showing a small data point, which is the latest temperature that this device has, we can see that this dashboard is quite bland. The card itself, the card widget here is used to display the latest value, the last value, which means that it will show one data points, but will show a chart behind it as well when we have more data points. We can customize everything here. But when we start adding more widgets and we start sending more data to our devices and we start adding widgets and start to think about what we want our users to see. Because if we don't think about that, I'm gonna just quickly hide the blueprint bar here. If we don't think about that in advance, we might end up with something like this. And it's not a bad visualization. We can see that we have temperature here. We can see that we have another card that shows the outdoor temperature. We can see that we have another card that shows the humidity. We can see that we have the building name here, which is a display widget. Uh, since this is a blueprint dashboard, we can change it and we can use the same dashboard for several devices. But we are going to focus on this. We have three icon widgets here that are not customized to have an icon at all. They have the same color. Everything has the same color. We have charts here. We can see that we have a scroll bar, which is not a bad thing. You can use it to show more information, of course. But when you're thinking about your users, much like we think about when designing software, when designing interfaces, we need to think about what's important for users to see. Our data is the most important thing about this dashboard. We don't want only good looking widgets. We want the data to be displayed in a straightforward fashion and with simplicity in mind. So when we see this, we have a lot of information. There's a lot of variable names here, which is every single data point that we have sent to this device that is being used in this dashboard. And we have a table here, and we have a chart. This chart has these counters here, but showing over time. You can see that we have a few data points that were created in advance. But these lines, they don't mean much because although they have this title, which is the name of each variable showing the data points, they are using some non-compliant colors with what we want to tell the users. Here we have the alert danger count over time. So over time, this is our count for danger alerts, which means that the situations where our sensors are indicating that there's an error or there's a problem that we need to pay attention to, this is being displayed in a blue color. This is being displayed, the warning alerts are being displayed in a black color, and the info alerts, which are only information alerts, are being displayed in green. This is not really ideal because when we think about the user experience, when we think about interfaces in general, we usually are wired to think about red as indicating danger. We are usually accustomed to thinking about yellow as being the color for warnings and alerts, things that we need to pay attention to. And information is usually neutral. So usually in interfaces, when designing interfaces, we think about blue. If you pay attention here, I'm using a slightly different shade of our toggle color. This is just for showing how this dashboard can be improved. There's a lot to improve here. So we can see that there's a few points that we need to think about when displaying this dashboard to our users. When we think about deploying or run for users to access this dashboard, these names that come by default are not great. We can see that this is called display one, this is called card one. We have the temperature name here, the variable name here, which is temperature. We have this other variable name, which has an underline because variables need to have only characters and underlines. We can have spaces. If you think about some of the data that you're going to send, some of the variable names might not make much sense to your users. But like this, alert danger, what does this mean for the user? Why is this just a number? Why can we use a display widget here? Why can't we use a display widget for everything here? But since we are showing the how to show and deliver the information for your users in the best way possible, we think about cards here because we have small charts that can show the data over time as well. So not only we have the overtime data for alerts, we have the overtime data for temperature, and this is all contained in a single widget. This is really great if you want to show that the temperature might have dropped here. You might not know the point in time, but if you want to know the point in time, it's better to think about something like a separate widget that shows drops in temperature, or you can use the chart widget like this one. And as I mentioned, this has a lot of information, but not only that, and not only doesn't have a color scheme and whatsoever, we can see that this also, the scroll bar here is a problem, not because it's a thing that does not allow for the user to see everything, but the chart here gets cut down in the middle, and that's not really ideal. If we think this information is important for the users to see, we should keep it right up in the top part of the dashboard because we need to think about what information is most important here to show. So we're going to make a few changes and I'm going to talk about them. But first, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing here. So as you can see, this presentation was meant to not only to talk about, showcase how to make great looking dashboards, but it's also a demonstration. So I'm going to be mixing the two parts. So if you have any questions, you can post them in chat. Marcelo will keep in mind and maybe interrupt me if something is missing, if there's an important question. But I'm going to be start mixing the demonstration part with the showcase part, right as I show the next dashboard. For the next dashboard, I'm going to be showing the exact same data, the exact same setup, but instead of having the widgets like randomly placed here, just like one by the side of each other, and there's some logic here, but if you develop your application, you might, if you have developed applications already, you might know that sometimes you think that something is looking great, and in the end, it might be confusing. It can be improved, and this is what we aim to get here. So I'm going to be showing the organized version of this dashboard. I'm going to be hiding the blueprint bar again. But as you can see, I replaced the name of the building of the company here with an image. This is dynamic. I'm going to be showing this further down the road. But I also improved all the widgets visually, making them consistent. So here you can see that unlike this one that has different sizes for the variable names, where there's the variable name here and the default ID, the default title for the widgets, we have improved this by, instead of showing the variable name, we name the widgets with a title that shows us what data this is. We can improve this further by adding a unit here. Since these two are temperatures, we can change the unit here by going into the edit page for the widgets and going to formula in units here, and we can add an unit. We can use a fixed unit if you want to say that this is Celsius, but we are not going to be doing that just because overall we think about this and we think about how users might see this differently. If we're developing an application that is facing users from multiple countries, multiple locales, we can think about that some user might want to see the Celsius temperature here, but another user might want to see Fahrenheit. And we can use that by using devices, and we can achieve that by using formulas as well. We have formulas to convert the units, and we can make this dashboard look great. Another thing that we did here is to add the icons to the icon widgets. And we don't really need a title for these widgets because we can have a description here and we can have like one active severity, one alerts. Now this is way more descriptive than what we had before, which is alert danger. I'm not going to be jumping all the time. This is the last time I'm going to be doing it. So previously we have the variable name here, which is not really descriptive to our end users. And now we have the description for what this information means. And we have an icon with the correct color, which is severity 1. So we have red, we have yellow for severity 2, and we have blue for severity 3. Our table didn't change much, aside from having labels for each column, but the chart is way better now. We have replaced the variable names below with colors, with labels, and we have replaced the colors with colors that mean something. And these colors match and make our application consistent, since we have the red color for severity 1 alerts here, and we have it on the chart as well. Same for the other two types of alerts. This is really, really important because it might seem like a really small thing, but it's not. When you use software, you use apps in your phone, some of them are way better to look at to understand what the information is. And this way we have way less, well, it's pollution, visual pollution here. We don't have variable names everywhere. We have what the data means. So your users can look at this and they understand exactly what everything is without having to think, what's this right below here? What's this variable name here? Which they might not know that is a variable name. Your end users might just want to look and at the dashboard and want to see that the temperature here is 71 indoors. The temperature outdoors is 93. They might want to see the logo of the company, not really want to see the name, because since this is a blueprint dashboard, we can see it above. How do we achieve this? Every widget has an edit setting. If we're building dashboards, we're talking about this. We can see that in the charts, we have variables for different lines here. Each variable in a chart widget corresponds to a line in this line chart. We can customize the colors of each variable by going into the variable here. If we want to customize the danger count line, we can go into the settings here and we can change the color. We can apply a formula to it. So if we want to multiply this by 2, we can select this formula here and type times 2 here. And this line would have each value multiplied by 2. But we're not talking about formulas, but I'm just showing how customizable our dashboards are. And for your data, it might have sensor data that is not really formatted for your users, and you might want to use a formula. We can also customize the formatting for the numbers, and you can customize the chart in general by displaying the lines in different manner. We can order the data by a different value like time or series, which are groups for the data. We can customize everything in these widgets. But visually, we mainly think about the colors, and we also want to talk about the labels. Here we have the alias. The alias is basically the label for this variable. This variable is called alert danger count. We can see this above here. And we call this severity 1, which is what is going to be shown in the legend for the chart widgets. Another thing that we can pay attention here is that same goes for tables. We have several types of tables in Tago.io. We have the static table, we have the device list and user list widgets, which are also tabular. We can see that each column has a variable associated to it as well. This one is called alert, but we have visually changed it to have a different value. So if you can see, we can customize the size as well, but mainly we're thinking about this, the column header. This tells us that the alert type, the alert variable represents the type of the alert. The severity we can see here, that is a number. So it's better if we have this than another value. It might have another name altogether in our applications. And thinking about aliases or labels, as we call it, we can think about variables being unchangeable. We send the data and we don't want to send all of our data again. So we can have prettier names for everything just by replacing the variable name with label in every widget. The same goes for the icon widgets, where we can change the variable name to be displayed as some text that shows us what this means, but we can also have icon conditions to have different icons for each value. If we had a single icon widget, we could have three different conditions to make it show different colors for the icons or different icons altogether if the value is greater than some number. But here we chose anything because we have three different widgets, one for each type of alert. Since in this application, we think about being able to show everything at once. We also have color conditions in not only in the icon widgets, but in the table that was showing previously, you can have different colors according to the value. You can add like a different color for the value itself. If the value is over, let's say 10, I want to use a pink color here just to make sure we have correct value. But since our value is 1, and I forgot about that, don't mention it. Let's just fix this real quick. If the value is greater than 0, I'm going to use the pink color here. So like I configured, the pink color is now being used in this widget. And here we have all the widgets with the information properly presented in a way that we don't lose anything, we just clean it up. We can also think about changing the colors for these widgets. This is another important point that we need to keep in mind. It's very quick to change the colors in a single widget. We can go to this widget and change the colors here to replace the header color to say like this purple one. We can change the background color to some grayish purple here. And keep in mind that the colors are, are changing to be readable for the text. So I'm going to change to be like this. So this is my background. I'm going to save it. And we can see that this widget now has this color. But I can change this other widget to have a different color. Like let's say this teal tone here. Let's leave the background let's leave the background as it is. It's better this way. Because what I want to show you is how to colorize your widgets in a very fast way. If we have achieved the goal we want for a single widget, we can change the color by editing the widget itself, but we can apply colors to all widgets or to only the widgets of the same type. If we choose the same type, we are only going to be changing the color for the card widgets to match this one. I'm going to be showing you quickly here how it looks. So we have a preview and we can apply or cancel the color change. So now I'm going to be showing you how I achieved an even better result here. In this dashboard, we have the same as we have in the previous dashboard, but we have changed some colors to match the color scheme we have chosen for this application. So you can see that everything is consistent and everything was done by simply changing the color of a widget and copying it to the other widgets, which is very quick. If we think about this dashboard again, we can see that if we click here and apply colors to all widgets, we can see that the image doesn't look great, but we can change it individually. But we have sped up the process by a lot by just copying the colors to all widgets. So the improvements in this dashboard itself are fairly minimal, but they mean a lot for the users when they are seeing the different colors and they look at the information. The color of this chart is also customizable. Everything looks consistent and really good. Like Marcelo showed previously, we have a lot of ways to customize dashboards. We can have transparency. We can have an image for a background. Here I chose a starry background, so we can see the stars here behind the widgets. And we can see that the transparency here does not affect the visualization of the data at all. We can see that this looks good because the stars do not really conflict with the text colors. We can also have animated backgrounds like this one. In this dashboard, I just used a GIF instead of a picture. So we can see that it's just a starry background, but it moves, it loops, and it looks good. It just doesn't distract a lot from the information because I changed the transparency. If you want to know how we did it, we do this. We just customize the dashboard and we use we add a URL for the file here. I used Tago.io files here, which you can see at the left top left corner here in the sidebar. I uploaded this GIF to TagOil files and I used it here. Another quick tip is just that if you use a dashboard with an image or a video, you might want to think about the connection of your users. If you have a GIF, it might take a while for your users to download. So the tip here is to use a background color that matches the background color of your image or your GIF. Because even if it's an image, it's, let's say it's a really large image, like a photo, which is like 4K in resolution and it's like 5 MB, it might take a while for some users to download it. If you choose the background color that matches the image, it will show the color, and then when the image loads, it will not be so much of, there's not going to be a flash of color, like if you choose a background here, a white background here. So this is just a quick tip. You can keep in mind that you can also customize the dashboard icons, you can customize the dashboard titles, but at this point, these are topics that are covered in deeply in other series that we have on our YouTube channel, so keep that in mind. But you can choose a different icon for these widgets by just selecting one of ours. So we can, if I choose like this bell icon here and make it red, we can see that it changes in the preview. And if we save it, we're going to see the icon here and it's going to be changed here as well. This is another important thing. If you want to differentiate between your dashboards, you might most likely will be using icons. If you have an alert dashboard, you might use a bell or notifications for things like that. But I guess that's it for the customization of dashboards in general. Design is important if you want to think about color schemes, adding images, but think about the data that you're displaying in your dashboards. Think about how your users will see it. Think about making it simple enough for everyone to look at it and think that this looks good, instead of just making a dashboard that might not be consistent. So another thing I'm going to be showing you now is that how to customize your run. We have series about how to deploy applications, but let's just say that everyone has deployed a run here, but it's fairly simple. If you have a profile in Tago.io, you can just head into run here and click save, and it will have your application deployed. And you will have access in this URL. Let's just click in this one here. I'm already logged in, so this is fully customizable, fully customized already. So if you look at the detail dashboard, which is the one that has colors, and I kind of messed up a little bit here, but we can see that it has a really good look that matches each color. Actually, I'm missing one dashboard here, which is the customized one. Yeah, it might be a permissions thing. Let's just fix this really quick. Okay. All right. Let's just head over here and click at home. Okay. So let's just, it's this one. Actually, I was wrong. I'm going to be talking about what just happened here because it's really important. It's a really cool feature. But since I forgot about this, I was looking at the left side here, which is not representative of what I wanted to say. So when we have our run applications deployed, we can customize a few things. We can customize colors by heading into admin and going to theme. Here we can change colors for everything. We can change our sign up page colors. We can change our sidebar colors here, like I'm showing you in the application itself. I have colors changed here in our sidebar, which is different than admin, which is white, as you can see in the left side here. We change also this menu. This is all different because we customize this application and it will have the colors in every dashboard that your users look at. So if we think about colors for pages, we can change the color for pages like the account preferences, like this one. If we go into accounts, we can see that the colors are changed here. Colors in Run are fully customizable. We can customize everything here. Colors, the logo, as I show here, is the placeholder logo. It is also used in the signing page and the sign up page, but here we have it on the top of the page in the Run application itself. Another thing we can customize is the sidebar. The sidebar is the main way that your users are going to be accessing your dashboards, the application's dashboards. if we use a sidebar button like home, we can point it into one of our dashboards like this one. I have set up all of my sidebar buttons that I have in the applications. We can see them in the preview here, like home, users, reports, and settings. All of them are pointing at the same four customized dashboard, which is the one that is fully customized with colors. I have changed icons here, and I have applied a different color for some icons. We can see that it shows when hovering and when the button selected, the sidebar button selected. And we can see that this is fully customizable. And when we add a dashboard to this sidebar button, since the fourth dashboard, which is called customized, is added as a sidebar button, it will not show in this list. This is a really good for applications that because it avoids duplication, avoids you having to show your users an application that has a lot of dashboards here. If you want to show only a few dashboards, you can have them all here in the top of the sidebar, and you can even add it in a single line like this. I can change it to add it in a single line and put a lot of buttons in one line. So this is fully customizable as well. So this covers most of the customization that we have in Tago.io. Keep in mind that everything here, dashboards, the widgets, the run application is fully customizable. You can have your users accessing your application, and you can make sure that they don't even know that it's being run in Tago.io if you want your branding everywhere. Here it is showing that it runs on Tago.io at the bottom left corner, but this is because I did not set up a custom domain. And this is in the Tago.io domain, as you can see here. So the next point I'm going to be covering right now is how to set up a custom domain. In this profile, I do not have a custom domain add-on purchased. If I purchase a custom domain, I can set it up so that the application is accessible at my domain, like these examples, like portal.mycompany.com instead of yourbrand.run.tago.io. I can customize this. This first one is included in the starter and scale plans, like it's mentioned here. So if you are subscribing to one of these plans, you can customize your run to have a custom name, like this one, present run. But if you use the custom domain add-on, you can use your DNS. And this is customizable, and I'm going to be showing you as I finish this. As I finish talking about this, I'm going to be showing you how this looks. Because since I don't have it purchased, I can show it in our production environment. The run itself has a lot of customizations that are covered in other series that we have on our YouTube. Deploying applications, we can see that how to set up your application, set up sign-up pages, set up security and protection, like adding 2FA for your users. Everything is covered in other presentations. We also have multi-language support. This uses a feature that's called dictionaries. Dictionaries are simple ways to have strings that are replaced, and you can add different languages for your users to see your application in whatever languages they want. Even the widget titles, you can have values in the widgets like the descriptions and labels I was showing before. You can have them displayed in whatever language you like. You can add any language to your dictionary and customize its values. You can customize it fully. Everything is customizable. So to wrap this up, I'm going to be going back to the slides just so I can talk about the custom domain. Let's just stop sharing my screen really quick. Okay, so we're back to the slides now. So we can see that the custom domain is purchased here in the billing page. This was an animation, but unfortunately, this platform Vimeo does not show the animations. The slides are PDFs here, so everything is on top of it. But we can see that in the billing page, we have a custom domain. You can purchase it. And then we can see that this is the screen showing what information is required to customize your domain. Basically, you're going to set up your domain. You have to purchase in a domain registry, or you already have it. If you have your application, your company's website, you can just use this domain to set up a portal for Tagoyo. You can use portal, you can use run.yourdomain.com or something like that. Everything is customizable. So that was it for today, guys. I have a lot of things to talk about customization. I hope I covered some design topics. I hope I covered some ways to speed up this process of customizing the dashboard because we don't want to make this experience difficult. We want to make it as simple as possible for you to customize your dashboards, your widgets, your application in Tabo Run. We want to make it very simple to make this process as fast as possible. You can duplicate dashboards, you can copy colors from another dashboard, you can do everything to customize the dashboard very quick. And it's fairly easy to learn by yourself, but do not forget about our documentation, do not forget about our YouTube channel, and do not forget that we have a lot of upcoming webinars on several topics. We have a few webinars covering Tago Core. I know a lot of people like Tago Core here. I know a lot of people in the community use Tago Core. We have webinars covering features that are coming up, features that we released recently, like the audit log improvements that we released in the past weeks. We have a webinar covering most of the topics that you need to know to use Taguayo. So I think this is for me, guys. Back to you, Marcel.
That's amazing. Right, so thank you for the presentation. It was very good to see how much you can customize your dashboard, right? And sometimes just a few things make a whole new brand, right? Gives you a whole new view of your dashboard. Okay, so we have already a few questions here, but guys, before we jump to our Q&A, just a few reminders, correct? As I believe Klaus mentioned, we have our help center in your community. There, you guys can ask your questions, answer other people's questions, right? And we also have our Tagoyo slash videos. There, you can see our other webinars. And on the events page, you can follow our future webinars and events. If you don't want to lose them, you can also subscribe to our newsletter. There, we will always tell you when is the next webinar and what is the subject with more information about the IoT world. Correct? So let's jump to our Q&A. First, I have here a question that it's basically, is it possible to embed widgets in our website, Klaus? It's a one's website.
Go to embed. Uh, uh, I'm not sure if Fabian is still with us, but I'm going to answer here this question. So I'm going to share the screen really quick. Can do this right now, just to show you. It's a fairly simple process. In our Tagoyo admin, we need to edit a widget, and keep in mind that for widgets to be embedded, we need to be thinking about a normal dashboard. So I'm going to be making one really quick, like normal dashboard here. And we can go into the add widgets here. I'm going to use a card. I'm not sure which device I have with data here. Probably this one. I'm not sure what I have here. Yeah, I don't have data available, but I'm going to be showing the process here. So to embed widgets in your website, all you need to do is create a normal dashboard, and you will have here the embed section when you're editing the widgets. If you generate the URL, you're going to have a short code here. All you need to do is copy this code and add it in your page, and it will work. This basically uses the elements from HTML to embed this page here. I can show you really quick that if I open this link, I just copy the link here. If I open the link, this is my widget. It's going to be loading because I don't have data this variable that I used, but this is all it takes. You generate the URL and you copy the code here from embeds and add it to your page. Okay, this is it for this question. I hope it helps. If not, just let me know in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Klaus. We have our question here. So, is there a document with dashboard visualization best practices?
That's a really good point, Carlos. We currently do not have documentation with best practices, but we have webinars covering best practices for applications and dashboards. Most I have like 3 webinars at this point about customization. I covered best practice in most of them, but if you're thinking about blueprint dashboards and how to develop the structure of your data, you want to look at our building applications webinars. These are, I believe, Victor does them, but they are really good. They cover a lot of the topics. But I'm going to write down that this is a really nice suggestion to add some documentation with best practices so everyone can consult them and look at them really quick.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you for
believe that Guilherme also did one of those. Right. Another question here.
remembering
Can
this.
we have a dynamic widget that you can use for any device, not only the that I defined previously in data from?
Yes, Julio, you can have dashboard dynamic widgets that use data from different devices, but this is mostly done with using blueprint dashboards. With blueprint dashboards, you are going to have a blueprint device that corresponds to different devices. Devices that you create on Tago.io that have, you just need to make sure that these different devices have the same variables so you can access them in different blueprint devices. So you have a blueprint device that is like car, you can have different cars, and if each of them has a speed value in its variable, you can change it by selecting a different device in the blueprint selector at the top of the dashboard. This is also covered in the Blueprint Dashboard application webinars that we have on your YouTube, and it's covered in the application. I hope this helps you. If not, you can ask questions in our community or support channel, and you can ask more questions here as well.
Okay. So another question here. When you buy the customized domain, is it a one-time payment or a subscription?
This is a quicker question than the ones before. This is, yes, it's a one-time only payment.
Okay, very good. So the other one that we have here, how can a dashboard handle 100 sensors together? I want to present a map with all sensors where I can see a flag with some info on each, and if someone sends an alarm, I shall be noticed.
For this question, it depends on how you're creating your dashboard. If you're using a normal dashboard, you will need to add in your map widgets the variable for each of the devices, and this might be a time-consuming process. Another way you can go about it is to create an analysis that when these devices receive data, they trigger an action that send the condensed data, the summary of the data to a single device that is used for display only. So you can have like let's say 100 devices that receive locations, and you can send all of these to a single device, or you can use a blueprint dashboard to be able to select different devices and devices that show locations, devices that show different information. You can achieve that in these 2 methods, or you can even mix these methods to achieve an even greater result. I'm sorry, I had some trouble saying that.
No problem, man. So here probably our final question. So we can expect the embed widget to be updated as soon as a new data reach our bucket, or is there any special requirement?
Just to answer your question, Fabian, we talk a lot about real-time events. If you look at the homepage for Tago.io, you can see that there's a real-time connected uh, text there. It means that the admin page is connected to real time, which is where it receives the data updates from your dashboard list, from your devices that are being used in a dashboard. Just the same as you can open a dashboard in admin or Tago Run and receive real time updates as soon as the data reaches that variable from that device, embed widgets work the same. If you have a single widget that is embedded, it will receive the data updates. Yes, it will.
Okay, that's perfect. So another question, building on Boo's question, right? When you have hundreds, maybe thousands of devices, how can you filter what you see based on whatever variable you want?
A really good question. Yeah, currently we do not have that implemented in the map widget. If we're talking about map widgets, we don't have that functionality built in. If we are thinking about dynamic tables, you can add filters just the same as you can add some filters for map widgets. For dynamic tables, you can add filters for dates. Like you can filter to show only the data from the last 7 days. You can customize it to say an X value of days, months, years. You can have the data being displayed and filtered by time. For filtering according to types, you'd have to have a widget that changes the type of data. Like you can say that it's a form that you have a drop down that you send to filter by alert status or danger status. And this widget sends the data to an analysis. This form will send an analysis to change, and it will have another device that is only used for that. It will filter the data from all your devices and send it to this temporary device, just a copy of it, and it will be displayed filtered. This is one of the ways that you can do it. Another way that you can do it, it's covered mostly in our community, but has documentation as well, is custom widgets. If you have questions about custom widgets, you can ask in our community, and the developers in Tago.io will answer it, or other people in the community will help you with that. But you can also consult with our support team to ask about some quotations if you want to for us to work with a different custom widgets requirement that you have. But mostly with custom widgets, you can do whatever you want, even filter by different values. You can do whatever you want. I hope this helps.
Okay, very good. So another follow-up question: if we have that you said on our roadmap, right?
Yes. No, no, Carlos, we don't have that on our roadmap, but what you can do is submit this to our community. We have a section for feature requests. No, I was going to say future requests, but it's feature requests, which is going to come in the future. But if we post this feature request in our community, we always look into it to plan our roadmap, and we discuss it every month to see what we need to implement, what our community needs, and we think about the implementation. We think it with some care, with keeping in mind the future proofing is important, so it works in the long run. So if you submit it, we will surely take a look at it and we'll consider it for our future releases.
Okay, very good. And by the way, guys, just to remind you all, we have a status page that you can subscribe to see if anything happens on our system, as well as our change log, where you can see our updates, what is going on, and our public roadmap, right, where you can follow some of the features that we are going to release. So another question here: by can I create a widget by myself? I believe a custom widget.
Yes, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Bo. But what you need to do to create a widget is just look into our documentation for custom widgets. In this documentation, there's a link to our community, which has a fairly comprehensive guides telling you how to make a custom widget. It has a sample custom widget that you can use. We have a few custom widget examples in our GitHub that are public. If you look at our organization, which is Tago slash, I'm sorry, it's not slash, it's like, I forgot the name, but like Tago.io. If you look at our repository, we can access it on our page in tago.io. You can access our GitHub. In our public repositories, you can see that some examples, like there's a map example of a custom widget that, like Carlos asked about future features in map widgets, we have a custom map widget that is built on top of Google Maps, which you can customize fully if you want. You can fork the repository and make whatever you want with it. Just make sure to provide us with feedback if you find any problems or if you have any questions. Keep in mind that our communities is the best place for you to ask about custom widgets, but if you want to for us to work on a some requirements, you will need to contact our supports.
Okay. If you guys don't have any other questions, thank you, Klaus, and thanks everyone for joining us